Good morning, adventurers.
Morning.
It's an amazing day here in France. So last time you guys saw us, we were over in Luxembourg, which is this tiny country, at least compared to the size of France, that borders France. But we've just driven over into France just barely, so we're just outside of Luxembourg on the western
10
part.
minutes from the border.
Yeah.
You really just dipped our toes into France.
Why did we just hop right over the border into France? Well, I'm glad you asked. To stay in this very unique place. You guys, this is a freaking World War II bunker that we're staying in. We're gonna give you guys a look inside the place in just a bit. But first off, we gotta talk about the outside. This thing is rugged, okay? It has not been kept up. It has just been weathered over the years. I think it was built in the 40s, and it's been sitting right here behind us ever since.
You would think it was abandoned if you walked up on it, except they have the 2 solar panels on the top that might give it away.
But if you look around the outside, you can see it's all weathered and dilapidated. There's stuff growing on the outside. There's spots where it's been damaged and they've kind of repaired some of it, patched it up over the years. Lots of history. Lots of things have happened in this bunker, including us staying here. The history of this bunker is actually really well documented. We're going to tell you guys a little bit more about it. But first off, should we give them a look on the inside?
I think so. Let's go inside. Imagine this. It's 1940 and you've just been assigned to bunker C22. Let's go inside and see what your new home is like. Oh, this is surprisingly charming. I think I'm gonna like the war. Just kidding, guys. This is obviously not at all how this bunker would have looked in the 1940s when people were actually stationed here. So let's give you an official look around. As you can see, the theme is wood in here. Our host has pretty much covered everything in wooden paneling and has wooden shelving in here in the kitchen, and it makes it actually really nice. You almost feel like you stepped into a cabin in the woods instead of a bunker from the war. This is the main area. We have our little living room space over there, aka second bedroom if you come with more than 2 people. We have our big spacious kitchen, complete with a stove that we cooked breakfast on this morning. We cooked a little bacon, some eggs, some beans, zucchini. It was a very delicious meal. One really interesting thing about the kitchen is that it kind of has running water. There's no plumbing in here, but there is a jug back in here with drinkable water, and it turns into a sink when you do this. We don't want to waste too much of it, but it's a pretty funny idea, huh?
This bunker is completely off-grid. We mentioned the solar panels that are up on the roof. They give you a little bit of power so you can charge your things. It also runs the lights in here. There's actually a bathroom in the back that has a dry toilet, and what you do is you do your business in there, and then you just take some sawdust and throw it right in when you're done. There's also a shower with, believe it or not, hot water. There's this little machine that pumps up the water, heats it up, and then you can take a shower. If you're looking for luxury glamping type of thing, this is not really it. This is definitely somewhere between camping and glamping, where you have some amenities, but it is still very rustic. You are very in nature. There are critters all over the place, tons of things out there trying to sting you and trying to get in. So if you want to really be in nature, but not like in a tent in the backyard, this is the place to come. Plus, it's just pretty amazing to say that you stayed in a real World War II bunker, right?
Off of the kitchen and living room area, you actually have the full bedroom in here. It's pretty massive. There's a full-size bed. It's super comfy. It's got tons of blankies because even though it's summertime, it stays very cool in here, and at night it gets very chilly. But it was perfect with these warm blankets. And if you're here in the wintertime, have no fear, because he has a wood-burning stove over here, and he says it keeps it really nice.
There's actually a layer of insulation between the concrete and the wood panels. And I'd thought that the concrete would be enough insulation, but I think the idea is that if the concrete's really cold, then heating it up probably would take forever, and it might not even really work. So, because you have this layer of insulation, you can heat it and cool it a lot quicker. It kind of makes its own little climate on the inside, it seems like. Before we showed up, I thought for sure we were just gonna be in a windowless room, but there are actually 2 windows in the bedroom. So you have this one over here that has a nice little pane of glass on it to keep all the critters out. Then we have this one over here, which has another pane of glass that you can put up and down. So you can get a little bit of fresh air in here, which is great considering we're in a concrete bunker with like 4-foot thick walls.
So if you want to get a taste of what this bunker was like before all this wood paneling is on it, there's this huge room that he's left mostly undone, which is crazy because this is exactly the room that they were staying in. The soldiers were back in the day. You'd think coming into a bunker it's going to be all creepy. Well, it would have been, I think, back in the day. So I'm very happy that he put the wood paneling out there. It makes it a lot nicer, I'd say.
If you study the walls, you can see all this old stuff on here. There's some kind of writing. There's all this paint weathering away, tons of bits of steel everywhere. This is another shooting window. And what we learned is that this giant steel beam here was meant to hold the weaponry because it was so heavy. This would allow you to not have to actually carry it and hold it in place. There's also another window or latch or something over here. No, I don't know. I have no idea how to do this. Okay, maybe I shouldn't mess with it. It's also covered in gunk. You can see all of these old little fixtures. There's pieces of steel coming out of the wall, little pipes everywhere, creepy ass old chains. Yeah, this room is it's such a different vibe when you come into this room versus the room that we're staying in. It's like a nice rustic cabin, and this is old dilapidated cellar. If you look at this corner over here, you can see some of the destruction of the original wall, and you can see how deep some of this goes in. You can actually check out some of the bars that are running through it that reinforce the concrete. To give you a sense of the thickness of the wall, this is this end of the wall, and if you come over here, about 4 foot later, then you have this side of the wall. This is another creepy room, so we'll just keep that closed. One of the things I love about old places like this is that you can just walk around and study it and try to figure out what everything was. I was looking at this, and at first I thought, oh, there must have been a door here that they filled in, but then once I started looking at these bits of metal that come out, I realized that this was probably some kind of ladder maybe that went up and down, because there's actually a whole basement area that's locked off that hasn't been touched or redone that we can't gain access to, but we're probably better off not going down there because I think it's just proper old bunker. There is no Wi-Fi out here, but if you look around, you'll find all sorts of little games. There's a big shelf of them right here. There's also some different games in all the different drawers and stuff like that. CDs that we could listen to if we're so inclined. Barry White, The Ultimate Collection, hell yeah. But there is a secret hack to get internet. Obviously, once you step behind these concrete walls, you don't have any kind of reception. But I found out that if I take my phone and stick it way out here, then I get a decent cell signal. And then what I do is sit here on the bed or even in the kitchen there, connect my laptop to my hotspot Wi-Fi signal, and then I can get internet inside the bunker. It's actually worked pretty well. We watched a Bon Appetit video last night.
Yeah, it was really fuzzy, but it worked.
Yeah.
I get it 2 years ago.
Okay.
I was searching a place to make something different, like cabin or anything, and I ride bike and came on the place and said, "Oh, that's wonderful! That's what I want to try to do something with it." There is a lot of bunker around because of the Maginot Line, and so most of them are just abandoned. I'm walking step by step, and so I would like to make the upstairs firstly all well done and clean and everything, and after they still have downstairs, so which is very dark. I was thinking to maybe make like escape game, something like that inside,
yeah.
just for people coming, not for everybody, but something interesting with this place.
I'm pretty sure that this is the original door for this bunker. It is so incredibly heavy. Wow. You would not expect how heavy this thing is. It is crazy. And actually, when you try to open it, you really gotta like put some muscle into it. You also have to be really careful that you don't have your fingers over here when you close it, because this will completely smush them. Oh yeah. Look how tight of a squeeze that is too. That's crazy. But once you close this, nobody is getting in. So this is the corridor that you have to walk through to get into the bunker. Is this crazy or what? It's not the most homely kind of vibe, but once you get on the inside, it's really nice. And there is basically a moat surrounding, is it a moat if it doesn't have water?
I don't know.
Anyways, there's a huge trough surrounding this whole thing and a little bridge that you have to walk across to get to it. I'm pretty sure this is some very original stuff, or at least very, very old. Seems sturdy enough. Allison doesn't quite trust it, but I think it's gonna hold out for another good 50 years.
A little bit when you walk across it.
Yeah, it's a little scary if you're squeamish with heights, but
yeah,
very cool.
That's death down there, or at least a broken leg.
This is insane. This looks like a prison. This is crazy. There's this little path that takes you around the perimeter of the bunker, and you can actually head up on top of the roof. So this side of the bunker was actually built into the hill. You can see it's all crazy overgrown over here. But then this path leads you up to the top. And now for our version of drunk history.
More
You know-
like tipsy history.
Tipsy tips. Just came up with that. Tipsy tips.
Well, that's
Trademark.
adorable.
Nobody else used that.
All right, we've only had like 5 sips, so
Yeah, that's true. We're not drunk yet. So we're up on the top of the bunker now, and if you look at the bunker from above, you'll see that it's in kind of an elbow shape. And that's because this was one of many bunkers along what was called the Maginot Line. And that was the French defensive line that was meant to keep the Germans from crossing in to France during World War II.
And if you know your history, you know that the Germans just walked right around that line, popped up through Belgium a few miles from here, and bypassed it completely. So I guess it kind of was a good defensive line.
Yeah, technically it was effective. They didn't go through it. Each side of the bunker watches its respective part of the line, and that's how they got this coverage over a long area of land.
So you have to imagine back in the day, these trees that are all here now were not like this at all. They were completely decimated in each area so that you had a clear field of vision.
Also, on either side of the bunker are little round areas where, back in 1940, you would have seen giant guns that were meant to be like anti-tank guns. Of course, those have been removed now. God only knows where those are at this point. Probably melted down for scrap, I would assume.
Yeah.
And while we're on the roof, these are the solar panels. So he has a couple of them, one here, one over there. And those are enough to keep the lights on, keep your goodies charged,
Yes.
stuff like that.
Not good enough, though, to run a hairdryer or curling iron. We tried the curling iron earlier, and I think I almost blew the place up. All the lights started flickering immediately. So, pro tip, you're not going to do your hair out here. Well, all this history has made us quite hungry, so let's go check out one of the coolest features of this bunker.
So we got that fire going. I want to add a little bit more wood to it though. So I got my handy axe right here. Oh, damn. Actually, I broke the damn thing yesterday. So I can't chop any wood. So it's making it really hard to start the fire because I can't shave it into smaller pieces. This is what I've been reduced to. And I've almost cut my finger off multiple times doing this, so.
Also, he's wearing flip-flops, and I swear to God, if it's not a finger, it's gonna be a toe.
I'm a true outdoorsman, y'all. We've made a couple drinks. We did a white wine spritzer with some fresh raspberries in there.
Yes, it's very refreshing for this warm summer day. He actually created this whole outdoor space, so it's not just the grill there. There's actually a whole seating area with a fire pit where you could just chill out with your friends.
And it's honestly just a lot of fun. We put on some tunes, we're chilling out here, we're kind of getting the food ready, building the fire. I suck at building fires, by the way, you guys. I've been trying, but it's getting there though. As you can see, we got some logs burning
it's gonna
back
be
there.
great.
Oh yeah. Speaking of history, there's actually a bunch of history recorded about this bunker and all the other bunkers that follow the line that we mentioned earlier. And our host Hector actually has put together a wealth of information about it so you can learn all about the bunker. So he's put together all of these documents that talk about the history of the place. We have overhead maps, we have the floor plan of the place, all kinds of stuff.
This shows the area that the windows covered. So you can see, they can see out to this area, and they can cover that range. And then the other bunkers do the same. So this is the whole line, the Maginot Line, and this is all that they can see and reach, I guess, with their weaponry.
This one here is really interesting. This is the record of the sale of this bunker after the war. In 1968, this is it right here. It was sold for 800 francs, if you will. But which I'm not sure exactly how much that is, but I think it's very cheap.
And you know, how amazing is this? This is the group of guys that was living here. I think there were only 20, even though 30 could have fit. And check it out, they have a bunch of little puppies. I think there's one.
He's got a little puppy in his hand there. There's one in the back there. And this is the bunker in the background. Isn't that insane?
Wild? Also, I'm kind of glad we're not here in the wintertime. It looks really chilly.
Yeah.
So you've seen how we're living in there. Well, this is how the soldiers would have lived. They would have taken turns sleeping on these cots. Oh my gosh, they do not look very comfortable. But this is one of the guns angled out the window, which is pretty wild, and some storage.
This book right here just talks about the history of all the different bunkers along the line.
Which, if you're just driving down the highway here, you'll see a bunch of these bunkers off of all the roads you're driving on.
Just like this.
Yep.
If you open this one, our bunker is called C22, which I think we mentioned earlier. So if you scroll through this book, C22, that's us right there. That is a picture of the front of the bunker from February 2005. And it really doesn't even look that much different. It's more overgrown right now, but the state of the bunker is almost exactly the same. But that's enough history for one day. Now it is time to eat. Grilling was a success. We've got a bunch of deliciousness here. Potatoes, carrots, some sausage, cottage cheese, and chips.
That's Eric's specialty, cottage cheese and chips.
Yeah,
from his childhood.
Yeah. But it all turned out pretty good. It's weird when you're grilling on an open fire like that. I feel like I test stuff and it's not quite done, and then all of a sudden it's overdone, just like that. It's crazy.
But I think we did okay. We put some dill on the potatoes and carrots, and I think that's going to add a nice flavor, and some garlic. I'm pretty excited about this.
Got our drinks here.
Yes.
And now we feast.
Now we feast.
We're hunkered down for the night in our bunk. We're bunkered down. We're bunkered down. I just came up with that. I'm on a roll today. Anyways, we're bunkered down in our room here. It's funny, as I walk through here and go to the restroom and stuff, I keep thinking about how we're in the middle of a dilapidated old bunker. We've been listening to some Post Malone. I was just dancing in that window and thinking about if anyone was looking through that window inside, this is probably the last thing they would ever expect to see in this old bunker. I think that's going to do it for today, though. Hope you guys enjoyed exploring the bunker with us and learning a little bit about it. This has been one of the cooler places that we've stayed. I mean, obviously, you have to rough it a little bit. And there are little critters everywhere. We've seen mice roaming. You can see them through the wall. We saw one run out the window. But it's all part of the experience.
More cute than annoying. And nothing has been in our stuff or no spiders or anything like
they're
that,
like
which
little,
is amazing.
field mice. You can actually see them. As you walk around outside, you can see them running through all the different weeds and stuff like that.
They're pretty cute. And we keep seeing hawks taking them off. And
it's actually really sad.
Heartbreaking. Tomorrow will be the end of our road trip here. We will be heading back to Brussels. But then we will be heading back up north to Denmark and then back to Sweden for a bit. And we'll probably do more road tripping up there.
By the way, we have an affiliate code for Airbnb if you've never used it before. But there are places like this on Airbnb. There's also, apartments and all those other types of places that we stay. But if you use the link in the description, you're going to get, I think, up to like $40 off, usually.
40 USD,
yeah. Yeah, 40 USD. And then we get a little discount on our next stay. So the link to that will be in the description below. Even if you don't have something planned, you can sign up with that link and then you get the credit immediately. So it immediately put like $40 in your Airbnb credit balance.
All right. Good night, adventurers.
We'll see you on the road. We found this book, Livre d'Or, which I think just means golden book, has these classy little clasps on it. This is where all the people who stayed here write little messages. This one's my favorite. It says, everything that happens at the bunker stays at the bunker. Seems appropriate.
That was Eric last night.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be me tonight.